Well, hello, sports fans. It's Stuart Weir in the middle of the screen in Oxford, England, the intellectual capital of the world. Larry Eater in Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin, the cheese and beer and walleye capital of the world. Greetings and salutations on this cold Monday. Stuart, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Now, you keep talking about being the cheese capital. Now, The next time I see you, I expect you to bring me some.
I will bring you some special blue cheese, like a Maytag Blue or something like that, okay?
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, well, I mean, I've been to a meet, so that's always exciting, but we'll come to that later. Where are we starting?
Let's see, where are we going to start? Let's start with, the ISTAF Berlin. They reduced their crowd from 12,500 to 1,500. Had some pretty nice performances. What did you think were the highlights?
Well, I mean, we wrote last week about Daryl Nita, and she goes out and runs a PR of 7:15 in the 60 meters, and she's not taking it seriously. She's not interested in the world indoors, just going out for a bit of fun, and runs a PR of 7:15. So, what could she do when she was trying?
That's true. That is so true. I think that, and then our friend Mondo, he went, 602 there. Mr. Duplantis decided that 603, because he'd gone 602 the couple nights before, right? Carlsruhe. Yeah. So he's had a couple good meets.
That is the 27th time he's done 6 meters.
Wow.
He did it once in 2018, twice in 2019, then 10 times and 12 times the last 2 years.
Wow. I'm writing that one down. That's a bit. Did you grab that from Statman John?
No, I worked it out myself from World Athletics.
Wow.
So indirectly from Statman John, but I
of course.
27 times. You think of some good vaulters who've hardly ever done it.
And then I think it was in Miramas, within a day or two of that, Chris Nielsen, the American vaulter, the silver medalist from Tokyo, went 6:02. It's his first clearance over 6 meters.
Yeah.
We haven't seen hide nor hair of our friend Sam Kendricks. Have you heard anything about him?
No, not
I will have to check up on our friend, because he's normally not this quiet for this long of a time. And I just was wondering when he's going to open, his season. And that'll be kind of interesting. And then your friend Elliot Giles at the Czech Indoor Gala. Tell us about him.
Well, he won in Karlsruhe, the 800 last week. And he actually said to me in last September that he is planning to do the 3 championships, but he'll probably do one of them at a 15, 2 8s and a 15. And so he's trying out at 15s, and he ran a PR of 3:35.93, which is a pretty respectable time indoor early in the season for somebody who doesn't specialize in the event.
No, I think he's well on his way, being quite interesting.
Just sticking with the Czech Indoor Gala, there was a really interesting women's 1500 in which the top 5 all ran a PR. There was Reeve Walton Nolan, who won the race, and Adele Tracy, both from GB, both running in the 4:10s. And then 2 Irish girls, Sarah Healy and Nadia Power, 4:11 and 4:13. And, this is what we've said so many times, and the frustration of something that up until now, although it may change, that Britain has not done, is that these indoor or continental outdoor events, they're not the prestige of a Diamond League, but they give an awful lot of athletes a chance to run and get good times. So here are 5 athletes who went to the Czech Indoor Gala, not one of the gold meetings, and they all run a PR. And so well done them.
No, I think so too. The person that I forgot about at Easthoff was Marcel Jacobs, who won the 60 there, taking a European leader. And he looked pretty impressive as well. And then our friend Malaika Mihambo did both the 60 and the jump and long jump. And so I think the fans in Berlin got their money's worth.
And just two more things on the tech event. Molly Scott from Ireland won the 60 meters in 7:25, which was a PR, beating Isla Del Monte, who of course was the European indoor champion last year. And I looked up Molly Scott, and her best for the outdoor 100 is 11:47. But surely if she can run 7:25 for 60, there must be great potential for that coming down this summer. So again, somebody who made the effort to go to the meet and got the reward.
No, it's one of the wonderful things about this World Indoor Tour with 38 meets in 14 countries. It's giving a lot of people chances to compete. And hats off to our friend Alphonse Uke at the Czech Indoor Gala. Just like his meet, the Golden Spike outdoors in Ostrava, they both don't get the credit or respect they deserve. And he knows that the sport is entertaining, and he keeps it entertaining, and he gives a chance for a lot of Central European athletes to compete well. So thank you, Alphonse. Then we had so Laura Muir was not able to compete in your event this weekend. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, she had a back injury, which was disappointing because obviously she's a local girl as well as being an Olympic silver medalist. She's been doing warm weather running in South Africa, and she hurt her back, and she wasn't able to train for a week, and it was touch and go, and even come the Friday before the Saturday event, she still couldn't run, so sadly had to pull out. I don't believe that it's a serious long-term injury or anything to worry about.
Do you want to talk about the DNA games?
Yeah, now the DNA stands for Dynamic New Athletics, and it's something that was tried at the European Games 2 years ago, I think 3 years ago. And basically, it's a slick 2-hour program. There were 12 of them. There were 12 events, and 6 countries, mixed teams of male and female. And basically, you have things like the 60 meters hurdles, an 800, which just are normal. And then they have a couple of relays, a mixed relay and a 2x2 by 200 relay. But what the real innovation is in the way that they do the field events. So you have 6 people in the shot, the long jump, the high jump. And they're divided into 2 pools of 3. And you compete head to head against the other 2 in your pool. So basically, let's say it's you, me, and Mike. You and Mike compete. Then you and I compete. Then Mike and I compete. And whoever wins 2 of those 3 goes through to the final. And then the winners of the 2 groups go head to head for an overall win. It's exciting. It's to knock out. The frustration that the purists like me would have is that you have the person who throws furthest in the shot not winning because he didn't throw it in the final. And I talked to an Irish, the Irish long jumper, Ruby Miller. And she again said, well, look, I jumped second longest and I was third. But it's quite interesting with Stratton because she told me she was incredibly nervous because normally a foul doesn't matter because you've got another two jumps. But in this head-to-head, if you foul, you lost. And the way they do the high jump is quite fascinating. Basically, it's the same format, head-to-head, but each jumper decides the height he wants to jump. And that's done secretly so that if it's you and me, you don't know what I'm going to jump and I don't know what you're going to jump until it happens. And you see, you gamble. You're thinking, well, I better jump so much because my opponent will jump that. Or you can go for a lower event and a lower height, make sure you get it. Where this event was a bit disappointing is that once they got to the final with two competing for first, two competing for third and fourth, two competing for fifth and sixth, not one of them cleared the bar. They all set the bar higher than they were able to get over. And of course, you've only one attempt at it. So I think that's when it slightly goes wrong. And then the finale is a relay, a medley relay race. I think it's 800, 600, 400, 200 mixed. And whoever has done best in the previous events starts first, and then whoever's done second best, and so on. And so the principle is that anyone can win the overall competition if they win the relay. But of course, what actually happened is that Spain had such a lead that nobody could catch them, and so that was a bit disappointing. But to say something specifically about Glasgow as opposed to the format, where the meet failed was they were not able to attract athletes of the absolute elite standard. When Laura Muir dropped out, it meant that there was an England, a Scotland, and a Wales team, and there was not one of our Tokyo team there. And part of the reason for that, and let's be fair to athletes, you could run in Glasgow for the honour of running for your country, or you could run in Berlin, Staten Island, or the Czech Republic and get paid for it.
Yeah. No, they're professionals and they need to be treated that way.
And one thing I will say, which was really very disappointing, is that Des Henry and Abigail Irizuru, I understand, wanted to run or wanted to compete and were not allowed by their kit sponsor because, this was a different kit sponsor and they asked them not to compete and wear an opponent's, a competitor's kit, which I thought was a bit petty.
Yeah, what kit was it?
I think it was Kukru, but I'm not absolutely certain. And I wasn't going to mention it because I wasn't going to give free publicity to people who are behaving like that.
Yeah, no. Well, it's happened before. You remember when we used to have the city games in 2012, Mo almost pulled out because of a kit issue. And, it was very interesting because most of the major brands play those games during the year. The kids are only paid if they're in, they represent the kit. And the, Adidas and any non-national team sponsor tolerates the Olympics and the World Championships because they have to. But it's kind of a weird situation, and it's rather archaic, and they need to find a way to make it work. It's just kind of a strange one. The New Balance indoor games were held for the second year in a row on Staten Island at the Ocean Breeze Track and Field Center. And it's a fantastic facility. And there was just one fantastic race after another. The TV broadcast, I watched the U.S. one on Peacock TV, and they did a nice job. But they had some fantastic performances, and it just I'm continuing to be impressed at the quality this early in the season with a lot of our athletes, and it's just it's really something else, and it was really from the very beginning. Noah Lyles won the 60. He had won his heat, and in the final he ran 6:56 to beat Mario Burke and Travis Collins and Darren Kempt. I enjoyed seeing Trayvon Bromell in the 200. It was interesting as he came off the turn. It looked like he had a cramp, and when he finished the race, he was laying down for a while, got himself up, and went and signed autographs. The 400 was a kick with Jareem Richards, who's a 200 guy, and last year he won a couple of the longer races, and he won this one again, 45.83. And but the big stories were in the middle distances. Mariano Garcia from Spain upset Bryce Hoppel, running 1:45.12, a European leader and a world leader, but also a new Spanish record. In the mile, Colby Alexander, who ran a 3:52 mile last week for third, he finished second in this race. He was caught by Andrew Koskarin, an Irish runner. Andrew ran 3:53.64, Colby 3:53.83, and Luke McCann 3:53.87. The 3,000 in the 3,000, Adel Machal from Spain, new European leader, European record, Spanish record, 7:30.82, and your British runner Andrew Butchart in second, 7:37.42. Louis Valva in third, 7:37.42, and Jake Whiteman in fourth, 7:37.81. Jake had just run a 23-second PB in the 3,000 over in the UK at 7:50.96. And
can I just come in on that race for a moment?
Sure.
Two interesting stats on that one. Butchart and Whiteman means that there are now 9 British athletes who have the qualifying time for the World Indoor 3000. Obviously, we don't know how many of them will choose to do it, but there's potentially a lot of fun. Andrew Butchart has lost his funding rather controversially this year, his Central British Athletics funding. And Sarah Symington, the day before she resigned and famously said she'd never been happier, was asked explicitly if Butchart had lost his funding because of certain things he had done to upset the Federation. And she said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's totally on performance. And to quote someone, methinks the lady did protest too much. And frankly, not too many of us on the phone call believed her. And now my other point is that Jake Whiteman is now certainly the only British, and I wonder if it's beyond British, to have run sub 145, sub 330, and sub 740.
Wow, I'm going to have to check that one out because I know that I'm trying to remember what Mo's best 800 is, and it's got to be in the 147s, 148s, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Wow. Now that's pretty impressive. The other one we should give a little credit to is Jordy Beamish in fourth in the mile. Jordy won the 3,000 the week before at Millrose in a New Zealand record, came back and ran a 3:55 mile. So he looked pretty impressive there. But in that 3,000, I believe 9 of the 10 men in the 3,000 scored PBs. And then our friend Grant Holloway, world leader in the the 60-meter hurdles, and he's always a lot of fun. And he had a good field. Trey Cunningham, Devon Allen, Daniel Roberts, Freddie Crittenden. The men's triple jump, we just missed Christian Taylor and Will Clay.
Well, I was going to raise that. Isn't it strange that, the world record is 1829 and the winning jump was 1668? And I mean, this has been generally the case that that there are an awful lot of triple jump events that are being won at at distances which are not that impressive. Strange. Now, I have the two other little things to give you. I would like to shout out, as they say, a shout out to two former housemates from Jamaica, Natoya Gould, who won the 800, and Danielle Williams, who ran, I think it's a third PR this year, 7:83.
She's been fantastic.
In the 60 hurdle. And she is planning to go to Serbia for the World.
Great.
And
no, they
also,
ran good.
And the long jump was won by Lorraine Ugin with 6:71. And today, she put a picture of herself on Twitter saying, "I'm an unsigned, unsponsored athlete, so I designed my own kit and created my own brand."
Wow. Yeah, I just saw that she and Colby Alexander, the young man who's run 352, neither one of them have sponsors right now. And it's really interesting because the sponsorship wars are really going. I mean, it seems that our friends at Nike are in a place where they're really looking at their athletes, and they do this every 3 to 5 years, and they're cutting a lot. But Puma's picked up some athletes, On Running has, Hoka has, and we'll get to some new sponsorship deals. But on the women's side, let's give some credit to Esther Guerrero from Spain, who won the 1500 in 4:11:87. I'll tell you, Nikki Hiltz, take a look at that video. I thought she took second, but Heather McLean was given second and Nikki was given third. An exciting event was the women's 3000. Gabrielle DeBooz Stafford won in 8:33:92. Makita Zabebe 8:36:31, and Josette Norris, who's been really running well, she ran a 4:20.8 last week in the mile. She ran 8:37:91. The 3000 was so deep that only second place in places 1 through 10 did not set a PB. So that tells you. And again, Danielle Williams, 2015 Beijing world champion, she is cranking right now,
Yeah, well, I mean, she had a really frustrating year last year. She got a bronze medal in Doha and then got injured last year. The Jamaican trials came a week or two too early for her, and she finished fourth and didn't get selected, but then was taken to taken to Tokyo as an alternate. And she didn't really understand why this was. I mean, I actually met her in Tokyo, so I know all that. And she didn't run, but I think with every chance she would have had an Olympic medal if she'd run. And I think she wasn't in the Olympics in 2016. That just something went wrong, even though she's world champion. She certainly didn't make the final. So it's great to see her running well, and love to see her doing something this year in the World Indoors, World Outdoors, Commonwealth, whatever.
Yeah, no, we've got these 4 global championships in March. We've got the meet in Belgrade, the World Indoors, and then we've got the World Outdoors in Eugene, and then we've got the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, correct? And then in Munich we have the European champs. So we just found an Airbnb in Eugene for the month of June through July. We'll go up for the U.S. champs and then stay through the Worlds, because it's obscene. I mean, Dave Monty on Race Results Weekly offered 2 places from a friend. One was for 2 people for $782 a night, and another was for 4 people for $1,000 a night. And I've seen places listed for $10,000 a night. So somebody's going to be making some money.
Basic hotels
Yeah.
are sort of $250 a night.
Yeah, I know. It's just, and I forget what the dorm is. I haven't even checked that yet, but we'll have to take a look. How much?
150.
Wow. Okay. 150. I'll tell you, I've done it in 2008, 12, 16, and then one other championship. And I was very happy with it each time. They did, the dorms, University of Oregon, do a great job. Couple sponsorship things to talk about. Our friends at Puma, they've been picking up athletes, but they just signed a 3-year deal with the American Track League. That's the one that Paul Doyle puts together, and that our friend Ryan Krauser broke the world record in the first meet last year. And that meets first one's coming up this coming weekend, February 12th. It's going to be on ESPN. So they're doing a nice job there. And then our friends at On Running, they came in and sponsored I think it's the 125th Penn Relays. And that's going to be pretty exciting as well. And they're doing it for multiple years as well. So hats off to brands like Puma and On. I mean, the majority of athletes are still sponsored by Nike and Adidas. Adi's still picking people up. Nike's picked up a few, but they've let go a significant amount. And it's great to see brands out there still spending money on the sport. Found an interesting statistic that of all the races in the U.S. in 2019, and there are approximately 60,000 road races in the U.S. in 2019, 18% of them did not happen in 2021. And we're wondering if they're going to be back in 2022. It's a combination of things because it looks like some of the big races have made it, but also some of these virtual races continue to bring in money. And so it'll be interesting to see kind of how it goes. How is the how is the COVID situation in your country?
The numbers are going down. And although, I mean, ironically, at this moment in time, I know more people within my circle, my local circle, who have COVID than any stage previously. But, I mean, it was interesting going to the 2 diamond leagues in Gateshead last summer. The restrictions were incredible. I was tested on arrival. I was supposed to be tested to get into the meet. When I was in Lausanne and Zurich, again, I had to have a test certificate on me to get into the stadium. But this time, there was none of that at all. I mean, I brought my vaccination certificate with me. No one wanted to see it. Masks in the auditorium were not compulsory. I mean, I would say that a reasonable number of people were wearing them, but quite a lot were not. So it seems to be getting better. I mean, speaking personally, I certainly am doing things now that I was not doing previously. So it's getting better. One person to mention that I spoke to in Glasgow was Ailey Doyle. He was
nice.
Watching. I did try to persuade her to step into the relay, but she said that being 6 months pregnant, it might be a bit difficult for her. Excuses. And look, just a shout out to Dr. Tiffany Porter, who has announced her retirement this week.
Oh, really?
Olympic finalist, world indoor and outdoor medalist, European gold medalist, Commonwealth silver medalist over a long career. She was a full-time athlete, but she was never a full-time athlete because she was often working as a professional pharmacist and had various business interests as well. A really engaging lady who famously said, "If my younger sister ever beats me, I'll retire," and was reminded about it many times when Sister Cindy did beat her. And again, her last, well, the Olympics were a disappointment to her because she didn't reach the final. But again, she picked up a medal in the European indoors alongside her sister in Turin last year. So I reckon that I have seen Tiffany run 85 times ish, and got to know her, and she will be missed.
Yeah. Yeah. She was always a great interview and always took time for us, and that meant a lot.
Yes.
And so we will miss her. Well, my friend, this athletics chat number 85 is coming to a close. Any final deep thoughts for today?
Deep thoughts, that's something. Well, just one thing that I think we mentioned last week, that British athletics had added Wendy Sly and Marlon O'Correll to the board. Well, having failed to appoint a technical director, sort of performance directors, we used to call them, they have actually now added 3 advisors to support Tommy Yule, who is the acting performance chief. And the 3 people are the coach, Stephen Mcguire, double Olympic medalist, double world champion Christina Horrigal, and Steve Cram. And all of these people bring a wealth of experience and knowledge, and can only be a good thing. Steve Cram coaches an athlete, Laura Whiteman, and as a TV commentator, he watches a vast amount of the sport around the world. He's currently having 2 weeks off commentating on the Winter Olympics. But the fact that he is not only a legend in his own lifetime, but has coached, is coaching, and watches so much athletics around the world means that he brings a wealth of knowledge. Christina Horrigal has 2 degrees, including one in law, as well as all that experience of running, and is very good in governance and so on. So I think she's a lot to offer. And Stephen Mcguire, well, most people think that he should have been given the performance director job when it came up. That was probably the most disastrous mistake that Joe Coates made. And now Stephen is performance director for all sport in Ireland, and it's a lot more difficult to prize him away from that.
Yeah.
Than it would have been a year ago.
Yeah,
so I don't know about deep thoughts, but those are some final thoughts.
No, I think that's really good. I mean, I'm very happy with the last week with the World Indoor Tour, with 2 big events in the U.S., the Millrose Games and the New Balance Indoor Games, some fantastic global performances and some really strong performances by the U.S. There's been some great meets up at University of Washington, and we've got the NCAA's coming up, and the conference meets as well at the collegiate level. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. There was there was some fantastic performances this weekend, and I just think the season will continue to get better and better. So let's keep our fingers crossed. I will thank you again for spending some time with me, Stuart, on Athletics Chat 85. We'll be back for Athletics Chat 86 next week. What meets are you covering this week? What do you have coming up?
I don't have anything for the next week, and then it's the Birmingham indoor.
Fab.
That's the second weekend, followed by our championship, our indoor championship. And that is going to be really interesting because I've heard rumors, you won't know until later for sure, but I've heard rumors that quite a lot of athletes are going to skip the indoors this year because with 3 outdoor championships to go for, they just think that getting the hard yards in at this time of year might be the better approach. We'll have to see.
Well, we will see, and look forward to chatting with you next week, Stuart. This is Larry Eder with RunBlogRun. Thank you to our friend Mike Deering, our production manager. Everybody stay safe, and thanks again for watching Athletics Chat number 85. Well, hello, sports fans. Larry Eder, RunBlogRun. This is the epilogue of Athletics Chat number 85. Poor Stuart is now back home in Oxford. You know, he time travels to visit me. And I'm in Fort Atkinson. And our production manager, Mike Deering, is in Indy. And this is the end of our day. So we're trying to finish this up. And so a lot of fun stuff this week. Istaf Berlin, Mondo De Pontus, 6:03. He had already gone 6:02 in Karlsruhe, so he's been setting a meet record for 2 meets in a row. Malika Mahambo ran the 60 and the long jump. Marcel Jacobs, the 2021 Olympic gold medalist at the 100 meters, as well as the 4x1. His Instagram is Crazy Long Jumper, I think. He is a character, and he ran a great race. PB set 2 leaders in 2 European leaders at the 60 in the heats and the final. But Istaf normally has 12,500 folks, and this time they had to settle for 1,500 because of COVID restrictions. They also had our friend Mondo's busy. We've been talking about Mondo De Pontus starting off the season. He's now had 27 clearances of 6 meters. He did his first in 2018. He did 2 in 2019, 10 in 2020, and 12 in 2021. And he's already got two in 2022. He has picked up a new sponsorship with the shirt company Eton, E-T-O-N. In their 110 years in existence, they've never had an ambassador. And the good-looking Swedish-American, he is now their spokesperson. Check it out on Instagram. It's kind of cool. Our friend Elliot Giles moved up from the 800 to the 1,500 at the Czech Indoor Gala and ran a 3:35 European leader. And pretty impressive, you know, for a guy who's running 1:44 like that. Laura Muir got hurt her back while training in South Africa, so she wasn't able to do the DNA meet in Glasgow this last weekend. Our friend Stuart went there, and you'll be seeing the stories on RunBlogRun. His biggest things were the meet has a lot of potential, but you need to have star athletes, and you need to be a little better organized. Really no presser. There just wasn't a lot to support the media who tramped up to lovely Glasgow. And I know everybody wants to go to Glasgow, but, you know, in the middle of the winter for a track meet, you need to have some things there. And there were a couple top athletes that we heard that were not allowed to run at the DNA event because of the clothing sponsor. And that's disappointing too. Puma has announced they're sponsoring the American Track League, which is a series of meets put on by Paul Doyle. They will guarantee the television, help upgrade the quality of the entertainment value. put in some top athletes. I think that's fantastic. Our friends at On Running are sponsoring the iconic Penn Relays now, which I believe it's in its 125th year, and that should be pretty cool as well. On has really been doing some big things in North America, and so are our friends at Puma. Still, the majority of things are done by the folks at Nike and Adidas, but New Balance plays a huge role. Brooks plays a huge role. Hoka, USA is picking up athletes and events. They picked up the Frankfurt Marathon a few weeks ago. So you're seeing things change, and then, some things are not changing. A fun fact, 60,000 races in North America in 2019, 18% of them are not around anymore 2 years later, post-pandemic. Is it all pandemic? I think some of it is. I also think entertainment value, quality of events. There are so many events that runners can pick and choose, and you're not going to spend your $100 on a crappy T-shirt and a poor post party. So I know, believe it or not, some people don't run for PBs. Some people run just to participate. Totally cool, and that's what the majority do. But you better have a good event if you want people to spend inordinate amount of money on going out and running. Let's see what else we're going to talk about today. It is an interesting weekend. The American Track League will begin this coming weekend on ESPN. Curious to see how that goes. The conference meets for the NCAA are about 2 weeks away. And then you have the NCAA in March. You have the New Balance Indoor in March and the Nike Indoor in March. There will be a battle for the hearts and minds and souls of high school athletes. The NSAF, which put on the original indoor championships, originally had Adidas. Then they picked up Nike. Then they picked up New Balance. Then New Balance and them parted ways. And now they've got Nike back. So that'll be interesting to see. And New Balance is doing championships on their own. So we're going to see how things go. Will it get crazy? I always think that more is better. However, too many big elite meets can hurt young kids too. We've got a great thing going in the U.S. right now with our young elites coming up from every distance, and I want to see that continue. I don't want them overtrained and overcoached and overcompeted. So let's think about that for right now. You can't have too much of a good thing, but stay safe. Thank you for listening to the epilogue. Thank you for listening and viewing Athletics Chat 85. Thanks to Mike Deering, our production manager. Thanks to Stuart Weir for putting up with me. I'm Larry Eater. Stay safe. And until next week, get your walks and runs in, wear a mask inside, and hydrate.